Welcome to the Board Park Commissioners meeting for Wednesday, July 10th. Please call the roll.
Mr. Capper.
Here.
Mr. Emery.
Here.
Mrs. Westfall.
Here.
All members are present.
Okay, we have our June 4th meeting minutes. Are there any additions, corrections, or deletions of those minutes?
There will be the one that you emailed because it had already been out and I
Okay.
didn't want to redo it.
And that took care of on page 2, the business portion. The very last sentence said a motion was made by Mr. Emmerich, seconded by Mrs. Westfall to approve the document. I suggested that we add, the motion was unanimously adopted by all members in attendance. And we have to have some action being taken on the motion. So with that correction, is there any additions, corrections, or deletions?
No.
No.
If not, I'll entertain a motion to accept those as amended.
Motion to accept those?
Is there a
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Mr. Drake and Mr. Seiler, thank you for your attendance today. Mr. Drake, do you have anything to add to your report?
Just real quick, we'll go, I was able to get the report a little more legible. I did have to take out some columns that maybe not really pertinent information. One of the columns I did have to take out was the column that showed whether the projects were in progress, completed, or new requests. Most of these are completed. We've been averaging about 20 to 25 open work orders at any given time. So, and I can run an open assignment report, and I do that a couple times a week. We had 23, I believe it was, earlier today. So, and I've input just a couple more. So, most, if not all of these are already finished. You'll notice that the dates there, date flag was the date that I input that into the system. So this is 5/31 through 7/1 were the dates for these work orders. So 109 work orders for this last reporting cycle. Then on the cost breakdown sheet, again, these are just the list of different job types and cost summary per job type. So yeah, that's hopefully a little more legible this month than it was last.
And you take a look at this on a daily basis, probably. I mean,
Yes.
Let me ask you a question. When I reviewed this, just only one thing really came to mind. On June 20th on page 2, you've got a tree removal, stump grinding, Mark Hogue. Remove honeysuckle growing under spruce trees. Is Mark Hogue the contractor you contracted for?
So what I do, that's a citizen that has called in with a street tree request. And so that's just his contact information for us. When I put the work order out, we know I record who it was, their contact information. So as the guys are going out, if they need to make contact with the homeowner or the property owner there, they've got the name and the number already in the work order listing there.
So the honeysuckle that was growing under the spruce trees that was removed is in the streetscape?
That is actually a separate, that was a separate work order right below it for Archer Park. So you'll see the Shaftesbury Road address right below that.
Right.
The remove honeysuckle was requested by Helen Gawker of 476 Shaftesbury, which backs up to Archer Park. So the honeysuckle portion is that next work order
In Archer Park.
At Archer Park.
Gotcha.
And then the work order before that was from Mark Hogue and his contact info, and that was the street tree removal.
Gotcha. Okay. Anything else?
That's it. Just a couple more things. That's it for that report. Austin Zahner, he had sent an apology letter that I thought I would go ahead and pass along. He was the one that was caught back in September last year doing donuts at Archer Park. Also, his verification of restitution payment and the balance is zero now. So
great.
I thought that was nice. Obviously, he went through the whole process and is very apologetic for what happened.
And was that letter of apology demanded by the juvenile court? I wonder.
I assume
It
it is.
could have
but
been.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes hearing officers require certain things.
Do you know who the friend was?
I don't have his name right off, but he was also paying his half of restitution.
And it's been paid?
He's still in the process.
Okay. You guys want to see that?
And then I'll just one more thing to add real quick to my report. Just today, we had a small, it appeared a lot larger than it actually was, a small incident at the barn in the park. If you hear anything that gets out in media, we had Troy Fire responded to a call for a structure fire at the barn in the park. It was not a structure fire. We had a call from Todd Bryant with Troy Civic Theater that one of the AC units was out. So our city electricians were there diagnosing the problem. They turned a breaker on that had been off and started to smell a hot smell, and walked into the stage area, and that whole area was full of smoke. When he called 911, they sent the call out as a structure fire. So a lot of Troy Fire Department responded, and it looked a lot worse than what it was. We've checked the building over. We've got an electrician coming in tomorrow. That breaker is locked out now. It was isolated to that one circuit. So if you see anything, that was what that was at the barn in the park today.
Okay.
That's all I
Any questions, Mr. Gray?
This is month 2 of our system of logging all the calls and everything like that.
Yes.
So it's still a little early to develop trends and find out what's going on, but
It is, but we're getting a really good idea of the type, the numbers, and then the types of jobs that we're doing. I mean, we've always had this. It's no different what we've always been doing, but just to have it see it on paper,
Sure.
and then to be able to extrapolate certain pieces of data. If you want to see something particular, we can pull that out really easily. So
Okay.
it's taken a lot to get it up and going, but it's very worth it.
Yeah,
And
progressing
not only for
nicely.
the work orders, but the asset management itself. All anything we do to any piece of equipment or an asset in our system, we've got a really, solid record now of that, so.
good.
Okay, Jeremy, you'll be taking us around at our next board meeting on the 28th at about 6 o'clock. We'll meet at the
Yes.
park board building. You got my
Yes, I did.
tours.
Yeah.
Susan, you were on board last year when we did that. So, and you take those and you put them into your work orders then and get those
Absolutely.
things done.
Yeah.
The one thing I didn't mention is places where it need mowing, because I know you're
Yeah.
going to end up mowing.
Yeah,
But the King's Chapel building, when I went out and reviewed that,
right.
Ken, is that actually being used for park
Yes,
purposes?
we use that for our Troy summer playground program
Okay,
for a period of about 7 weeks. And our staff, during the springtime frame, went in and repainted the entire interior of the facility.
Okay.
Now Jeremy kind of handles the exterior,
Sure.
but we went in and it hadn't been painted since it was built back in like 96 or 7. So it was definitely in need of some repainting, and so we touched up the insides, but I don't know if that's what you were referring to.
well, yeah, and I've been inside it once. I know these two probably haven't been inside of it. So if we want to get inside sometime, let me know. But do your people use the water fountain? Because there is no water fountain on the back anymore. It's all gutted.
Yeah.
Is that something we need to have replaced?
I mean, we
I've
can.
not heard any
Do
issues.
they have water on the inside?
Yes. Yeah, there's water.
I think it was broke last year, if I remember it, and then we went out there and then that was the result.
That had been vandalized, and we just have not, I
Mhm.
know you noticed it last year, just have not gotten that back.
And I don't know if we need to replace it if it's been
That's kind
vandalized.
of been
Yeah.
a whole-
Yeah.
As long as there's water on the inside for
There is
playground.
water on the inside, we're good there.
Both downspouts are gone.
Yeah, and it's
One's
funny,
crushed and
on
one's
the
gone.
24th, I had one of my guys that reported that, so that was a work order that's been generated. The downspouts are ordered, they're just not in and
Gotcha.
up yet, so.
Boy, that was
that's
quick, huh?
been-
Any other questions, Mr. Craig?
No.
Okay, Mr. Seiler, do you have anything to add to your report, sir?
Just a couple quick items. As you may recall, June was probably not the best month for the pool. Since probably the last 2 weeks, things have really picked up for us there, so we're kind of at least making up some of that. Typically, our best month of the summer is June, and hopefully July will make up for the really bad month of June that we had for the pool. Memberships have picked up. I think right now we're currently at like 491 or 492. Last year was our best season that we'd ever had since the aquatic park was open, which I think we capped out at like 555 or something in that range. So we obviously aren't going to hit that target again this year due to the bad month of June that we had. But I think these last couple of weeks have helped to get us at least close to back on track. And related to the arena, this weekend, starting actually tomorrow morning, we have the annual Troy Skating Club summer competition. We've got close to 300 participants coming in this year, which is close to one of the largest competitions that we've had. And so we'll have a good number of people in town for that event throughout the weekend. And of course, all of our summer programs, for the most part, are still in full swing. A couple of them are starting to really wind down at this point, but we're in the midst of the Friedel Youth Tennis Tournament that just started today, and cheerleading, swim team, a lot of those other programs are still ongoing right now, and they'll start to wrap up here over the course of the next couple weeks.
You probably have the records of your membership sales throughout the years, but I think it's
We do.
going to be most important as to what you keep there in the future, taking into consideration the possibility that there might be a splash pad that people might use for free. So
Correct.
I'd like to see those figures if I'm still around. Let's see. Any questions of Mr. Seiler?
How close to being finished is the parking lot?
The parking lot was scheduled to be completed around the first week of August. They just lined the eastern half of the lot yesterday. I had emailed the contractor today. Our hope is that we can utilize that next week, not this coming weekend, but the following
Yeah,
weekend.
that's
We
what
have
I'm
the kids
thinking about.
triathlon.
Yeah.
And so I'm hopeful that they'll be favorable in the response to be to the point where we can open that up and allow it to be used for the bike portion for the younger kids, and then also at least maybe potentially some parking.
Okay,
So I'm waiting to hear back on a response from the contractor related to that.
okay.
This year is going to be impacted pretty significantly because the track at the stadium is not available for them to use for the running portion of the triathlon.
Right,
So I think they're meeting to try to kind of figure out exactly what they're going to be able to do.
yeah, they
And a
are.
portion of the bike path is also being repaved between now and then as well. So
Right.
we're trying to make sure that
Pretty
it all kind of
interesting.
comes together. Of course, again, that event brings 300 to 350 kids into town. Not all of them are from out of town, but a good number of them are.
Right.
From all over the state, really, so.
Right.
It's a
What part
great
of the
event.
bike path is being repaved?
It's the sections from Rutherford Drive out through Westbrook to right around Hook School.
So over the levees?
That was,
The entire
yes,
levy. Oh,
that
that's
was
great.
part of the NVRPC match grant.
Oh, that's great. On top
It's in
of the
pretty bad
levee,
shape in some of
right,
those
right
areas.
behind Hobart Arena, the bike path, the former bike path is cement, it's a sidewalk, it's very narrow. That's not being done.
No,
It's
not
the-
at this time,
what's
it's the
down on-
lower portion. Yeah.
Okay. But on Treasure Island, it's the portion above.
Yes,
So
especially
they need
that
it.
section from like Adams out through portions of Westbrook that are really
Yeah.
bad.
Okay, good.
Was the target area.
Ken, tell me about these written warnings that were issued. What's the typical infraction? There were 22.
To be honest, I'm not certain exactly. It's a wide variety of things. Typically, these are continuing use of profanity, continuing use of dunking people in the water when the guards have warned them multiple times,
Yeah.
kids jumping the fence to get in without paying a fee for admission. Those type of things generally go directly to a 1 to 3 day suspension or even for the season. I think we had one incident this year where we actually had a fight, which isn't terribly common. That goes directly to you're done for the season. So we try to really stay on top of the disciplinary piece of the puzzle and make sure that they understand. We set the tone up front with them and try to really stay on top of that. So we always kind of keep track of that just to make sure that we kind of know where we are and how many kids have been suspended or are on that kind of 3 strikes you're out policy.
Good. Yeah, I'm glad you're staying on top of that, because making a family atmosphere there at the aquatic park is kind of pretty important to keep increasing
Yes.
your memberships.
And it's a challenge at times.
Yeah, okay. Any questions, Mr. Seiler? Okay. The only planning commission report I had was that there was a piece of property, a subdivision out at Fox Harbor, just past Kings Chapel, that we had already in the preliminary planning stage had approved as a park board fees in lieu instead of parkland. And that has now come before Planning Commission for approval. So we had already addressed that, but I want to let you know it's now being changed from I think it's 27 lots to increase it to 31 lots or something like that. So, speaking of fees in lieu, Greg, are you going to take the Villages of Troy Country Club issue?
Sure, I'll do that.
So we have a new preliminary plat that's going to Planning Commission. It's our next meeting called Heritage Village at the Troy Country Club, which staff is recommending that the Board of Park Commissioners provide a positive recommendation for Planning Commission to accept fees in lieu of parkland. It is a 10.7 acre property, which there'll be 22 buildable lots. This was rezoned, I think, early in the year. It's a former Del Camp property off of Peters Avenue. And I think just adjacent and directly south, there was a larger subdivision that's already in the works called the Heritage at Troy Country Club. Only difference there being village.
And the subdivision that's in the south, they bought from the Robinsons. That's already been approved for fees in lieu, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions? So we're being requested to approve fees in lieu as opposed to park property. Jeremy, do you have, you want to weigh in on that at all?
My recommendation would be to take fees in lieu of.
You don't want to drag tractors all the way
It's
out
just,
there.
we've got to look at how far spread out that we'd be getting if we
Right.
continue to go into each and every, subdivision.
Okay. So I'll entertain a motion one way or the other here, folks.
I'll make a motion to accept fees in lieu.
I'd second that.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Westfall?
Yes.
Mr. Emery?
Yes.
Mr. Capper?
Yes.
Unanimous.
Okay, next we have a letter from Christina Schaefer about her interest in purchasing property adjacent to Archer Park, or in Archer Park. And I'm going to suggest that we continue to table this until such time as we can review that area. And we'll schedule that visit on our next meeting, August 28th. Okay?
Yep.
I note that also we received a check from the William H. Mayer Successor Trust in the amount of $1,336.89. And Sue, if you don't mind reminding us, that goes into our capital improvements budget, is that right?
I think so. I can't tell you for sure,
Okay.
but I will look that up and let you know.
Okay. Okay, anybody else have anything else for discussion? Okay, when you two review the parks that were assigned to you, I'd appreciate it if you maybe get that to the rest of us in advance so that we can review it. And that way Jeremy can be prepared to tell us why he doesn't want to do those things. Okay?
And what time are you?
6 o'clock on the 28th, we're meeting at the park office.
Okay, cool.
What we intend to do is conduct a short business meeting in advance and do the tour of the park and follow it up with another short business meeting probably. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Oh, wait a minute, time out.
I have to.
We have our minutes here for Monday's meeting on July 8th, 2019. Jordan, you were absent. Susan, you and I took some official action. I would entertain a motion to approve those minutes as well.
I'd second that.
Yeah, I made the motion, Sue. Susan seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, those are accepted. Okay, thank you. Now a motion to adjourn if anybody wants to.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We stand adjourned.